Hey there folks, it's me, Nassuman. This is February 17th, and this is the new Nassvlog. I understand it's been a while since my last one, and I apologize for that. I was waiting for a new camera to come in, and to be able to film in more open places. Today, it's a new format, so we're gonna try to be doing some new things here, alright? Alright, first up is the Tokusatsu Roundup, or the Toku Roundup. First things first, let's talk about GoBusters. GoBusters ended on a strong note with episode 50, Final Mission Eternal Bonds. Now in my last vlog, I talked about how I wasn't sure that GoBusters could keep up the momentum that they were having. I was completely wrong. I thought that they had reached their peak and could not come back from it. But because of really solid character-driven plotlines, they made it work. So I'm pleased with how it ended. I'm upset a little bit about someone going away. But I'm glad how it ended, and I want it to be, and it's going to be cherished for years to come for me. What I am upset about is that Akibaranger having to take its place, and that looks so stupid. The suits are ugly, the Zor's just meh, and Samba doesn't seem that much of a good gimmick. The only good thing I talk about it is the toys look pretty cool. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the best Super Sentai news in a while. Akibaranger got a second season. It's been confirmed. It is official now. We're getting Akibaranger season 2, and it's gonna be amazing. Delusions are bound, and we're all excited. And finally, let's talk about Wizard. Wizard hasn't been doing much for me. I wasn't really excited to see a lot of the new things. When I see new designs come out, I'm not really thrilled. So when I saw Beast Hyper, my worries are even a little bit more solidified. It seems that secondary writers after Double just haven't been getting a lot of love. Beast Hyper especially. It just looks like Meteor Storm but uglier. Which, hopefully they'll prove that it's good by how it works. I mean, the character's a little bit solid, but all in all, he's not really that great. Wizard is kind of just meh right now. Though, Dragon Infinity is a really cool looking design that I really like to see in action. But, once again, Wizard on itself hasn't been doing a lot for me. So, I'm not really excited that much for it. But, I hope it just keeps getting better. Because it has slowly been getting better. But it just feels a little bit too little, too late. We're almost a third of the way, we're almost halfway through, and it doesn't feel like there's been any major plays. And that's it for the Toku Roundup. Next up is my newest thing, where we're talking about video games. And today we have a very special guest. Today we're going to be talking about one of the most important guilds in the Tarnished Coast server on Guild Wars 2. And I now have here the creator, founder, and out-of-character manager for the Krytan Ministry. Please welcome Caprarius. Hey Caprarius, how you doing?
Good, Nassuman, how are you?
Welcome to the Nassvlog.
Thank you.
I'm doing great. Okay, so, what everyone probably is wondering right now, what everyone's probably wondering right now is, what the hell is the Krytan Ministry? Or, well, what the hell is the Tarnished Coast, honestly?
Okay. The Tarnished Coast, let's start with that, is the unofficial Guild Wars 2 role-playing server. Well, technically, it's the North American role-play server. There's Pike and Square, and there's Tarnished Coast. Now we have that settled down. I'll move on to the Krytan Ministry.
Okay, so what exactly is the Krytan Ministry?
It's technically, lore-wise, it's the governing body of the Krytan government, which there's the Queen,
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the Ministry, which when the Ministry was established because Queen Jeddah was too young to take on full power.
Okay. So, but that's what it is lore-wise.
Yes.
Now, what I understand is that you started a guild of the Krytan Ministry.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one thing I have to ask is, because it is an in-game lore thing, how do you make it something that's approachable for players and non-members?
Okay. How do I make it approachable for the entire populace?
Well, how do you make it a reality to people who would just say, "Oh, it's just a lore thing"?
Well, we try to keep it open for everybody. We do certain events, such as public hearings, where people can come up, present their plea cases, such as it could be trade, it could be jobs. Someone stole your cow.
So you treat it as a real government.
A real government. We have regulations, we have guidelines. We have magistrates who are like the judges of common folk. We have ministers who are the senators. We have the representatives who are the lobbyists of Krytan. We have the guard commanders, guard lieutenants, sergeants, privates, recruits to maintain ministry, law and order.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that there's a lot of enforcement.
Yes, which I understand it could be a very...
Well, it just seems to me, and this is from my perspective, it would seem to be difficult to enforce this. I mean, how do you convince? Because it has been gaining a lot of traction within the Tarnished Coast server.
Yes.
If you play on the Tarnished Coast server at all, you're bound to at least hear about it. If you are in any kind of real roleplay circles, you are bound to hear about it. So, the question I have to ask is, how did you convince all of these players to really work with it and follow your rules?
Well, first off, I saw there was a lot of speculation when I first started, because I'll be honest, when I first started, it was inspired by what the Pike and Square was trying to do. They were starting to set up their own government and law system. And I always love seeing laws and government set up in video games. It makes the whole world more immersive.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't have cops and robbers without the cops. And even if you have the cops, no one's going to respect them if they have nothing backing them. There's no system. Now, actually convincing and the community to work with us is more on taking the high road as much as possible, because you can't just jump up like, hey, I'm in charge now. You can't do that. We never expected that. You have to prove to yourself and to the population, the community, that you're a overall fair person, a fair group that will work with them and try to keep it proper and professional.
All right. So, the last thing I'm going to add, so I've asked you who you guys are, and what you guys are. Well, actually, how do you structure the Krytan Ministry?
Okay.
And in a way, and once again, like, are these people? I mean, they can't just say, "Oh, I'm a minister now."
Well, we are technically unofficial, so other players can pop up and say they're ministers, but they can do their own thing. We're not going to stop them. We're not trying to regulate any RP such as that.
Okay.
But we're pretty much just a gathering of government-based role players who wish to work together to bring up a much larger scheme.
Okay. But how do you structure that? Who is in charge?
Okay, well, who's in charge? Well, there's several. There's IC management and there's OC management.
In character and out of character.
Yes.
Okay.
And out of character, we have 3 OC managers. I am one of them.
Yes.
There is Death's Adversary is another one.
Okay.
And Nassvlog is another one.
Okay. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Nassvlog also carries a lot of in-character control.
Yeah, she's also a minister in characterly. But Death Adversary and I, we're both guardsmen.
Okay, so you play, from what I understand, you play a very minor in-character role.
Yes.
In comparison to
your
your out-of-character role.
Yes.
Okay. So, and I guess you find that more easier to manage because you don't have, you can look at it impartially.
Yes, I can look at it partially. I don't have to get totally involved. I can sit back and judge from my own perspective.
All right. Well, all right. So the final question I have to ask you is why?
Why do I do
Why did you do what? I mean, what drove you to want to make the? I mean, don't give me any bullshit answers. There has to be like, what was the straw that broke the camel's back that really drove you to do this? Because this is not me and Cap are good friends. We have known each other for many years, and he keeps on telling me that it's work. Like he doesn't want to get on the game because it feels like work at times. And so he'll be like, hey man, let's get on and go do some dungeon. And he's like, I don't want to go to work, man. I don't want to deal with it. So like this is no small undertaking at all. No. And you've got a huge following. You've got a huge amount of people behind it. So what was it that really made you want to do it?
Well, it started more as a fling, I'll admit to that.
Okay.
I didn't see it going anywhere at first, but when I started seeing much more support, when actual guards who are actual players who are paid guards, ministry guardsmen, Sarah, started coming forth and like, hey, we really like this, and this actually gives us the backing that we can actually do our job, and the interest of more law came forward. As more and more support came forward for this project, I realized, wow, I'm actually helping their RP out.
All right.
Or I could just take over the server.
Of course. Well, Cap, it was great having you. It's always been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. If you ever want to come in and tell us more about the Krytan Ministry, maybe we can get you for Skype calls or something like that, and we can get a nice little
discussion.
Oh yeah, wonderful. Maybe some news from the Tarnished Coast coming from Caprarius.
Yes.
How's that sound?
Also, you can also go on the engine. You can find records of our events. The Krytan Herald also does newspaper articles about our events and other happenstances around Divinity's Reach.
All of these websites that we were talking about will be located in the description bar. Also, links to JE Fusion, who I go for all of my Tokusatsu news.
All right.
Nice. This has been Nassvlog. Caprarius has been here. And we will see you sometime soon. All right, Nassvlog out.